The government currently does not plan to rebuild Wample Court on its original site. Financial Secretary Paul Chan attended a public consultation for upcoming budget. And police recorded over 35,000 scam cases in the first 10 months of 2025. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The government is collecting feedback from Wample Court flat owners regarding long-term rehousing solutions. Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong said the government does not intend to rebuild its complex on its original site, describing the idea as not practical. Samantha Lee reports.
Questionnaires were sent to owners of Wample Court displaced by the fatal fire, gathering their long-term housing preferences. Speaking on a radio program, Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong, who has the task force on emergency accommodation arrangements, said currently the site of Wample Court will not be used for residential development, but repurposed for community facilities instead.
宏福苑嘅現址，政府目前嘅諗法呢，唔會再做住宅嘅。
He said the government believes rebuilding on the original site may not be a good idea after such a tragedy. Citing overseas examples where sites of tragedies were rarely redeveloped for residential use, he said developing community facilities at a location would be more appropriate. Apart from redevelopment, the government has also offered an option of acquiring property rights, enabling owners to receive cash and explore their own rehousing choices. Wong estimated that acquiring all units in Wample Court would cost around $6 billion.
我都要強調呢，個真正嘅收購價未定下來嘅。
He stressed the actual acquisition price has not been set yet, but it will be meaningless if there is no reference price. He added if the government does not intervene strongly, all those flats will become valueless, describing this as a special case. As to when the residents could return to their flats, Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration Warner Chuk indicated it may not be safe for many people to enter the damaged structures at the same time. He said it requires an assessment period of 2 to 3 months. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The new public hospital fees took effect this month. The hospital authority said 85% of the medical fee waiver applications have been approved. Residents facing financial hardship when settling public health care bills can apply for a fee waiver. The authority said 33,000 applications have been approved. For patients who do not provide all the required documents for the applications, the authority said it has granted more than 20,000 conditional waivers. Patients are reminded to reserve 1 to 2 months for applications before appointments. Public consultation for the upcoming budget is underway. Financial Secretary Paul Chan attended a public consultation event this morning, saying the budget will focus on improving the quality of development. Topics discussed included the government's tendering process and medical vouchers for the elderly. Samantha Lee reports.
Financial Secretary Paul Chan, speaking on a radio program, discussed the budget this morning. 98 residents participated in Q&A event. Financial Secretary Paul Chan said that despite the tariff war last year, Hong Kong still recorded 3.2% economic growth, and the market has recently begun to stabilize, with the economy showing steady progress. Chan said this budget aims to achieve both qualitative and quantitative improvements, enhancing the quality of development and providing better job and career opportunities for everyone. A resident raised issues about the government's procurement process and the transparency of the tendering process, following the controversy over the government's procurement of bottled water. Chan said the government system follows international practices. He said publishing tendering documents requires the consideration of many factors, and listing everything is one method. He said he hopes for openness and transparency. Some citizens suggested that medical vouchers should be restricted to elderly people with financial difficulties to ensure the efficient use of public funds. Chen pointed out that retired elderly people have contributed to society for many years, and medical vouchers aim to reach as many people as possible. So setting up barriers is not ideal. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Secretary for Development Bernadette Lin said authorities would submit laboratory test results of removed scaffolding mesh as court evidence. Authorities requested the removal of netting at 400 buildings in the aftermath of the deadly Taipo fire and implemented a new mechanism for its installation. The new system requires contractors to provide certificates and test reports for the fire retardant performance of the scaffolding mesh. Contractors must also send netting samples to designated laboratories for inspection once the relevant delivery has arrived in Hong Kong. Netting could only be installed on buildings after passing all the inspections. Speaking on a radio program, Bernadette Lin said the laboratory testing for the removed netting is undergoing. She said the testing required time and that the result is important because it will be used as court evidence. Secretary for Security Chris Tang said police recorded over 35,000 scam cases in the first 10 months of 2025. Tang said those cases accounted for a total money loss of about $6.4 billion, a 9% decrease from the same period of 2024, demonstrating that efforts by the police are working. Memo Sengai reports.
January is Hong Kong's anti-money laundering month. Speaking at a launch event in Tsim Sha Tsui, Chris Tan said the number of scam cases was 35,831 as of October last year, a drop of 1.6% compared to the same period of 2024. During that same period, authorities enhanced sentencing for 169 money laundering offenders, nearly a 30% increase over the whole of 2024. Police Commissioner Joe Chow, meanwhile, reminded residents not to let lend or sell their bank accounts to avoid being involved in money laundering activities. The event also appointed 150 primary and secondary school students as new anti-deception ambassadors under a program launched by the Yaojin Police District. Authorities will hold exhibitions at universities and malls during the month of anti-money laundering to enhance public awareness of the crime. Memos 9, TVB News.
A tourist was sentenced to prison for bringing nearly 50,000 duty-not-paid cigarettes into the city. The 43-year-old female tourist arrived in Hong Kong via the airport yesterday. Customs officers seized 48,400 duty-not-paid cigarettes in her personal baggage, with a potential duty of about $160,000. The defendant was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment and fined $1,000 by the Kowloon City Magistrates Court today. Social media video has shown protesters in Iran's capital, Tehran, holding up Iran's lion and sun flag, an emblem of its former ruler, during a demonstration on Friday amid an internet blackout. Despite Iran's theocracy cutting the nation off from the internet and international telephone calls, short online videos shared by activists appear to show protesters chanting against Iran's government around bonfires, as debris littered the streets of Tehran and other areas. The full scope of the demonstrations that began December 28th couldn't be immediately determined due to the communications blackout. And still ahead, U.S. President Donald Trump has ramped up his threats to annex Greenland. In Minnesota, crowds held vigil honoring a woman killed by a federal officer. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump has ramped up his threats to annex Greenland and said a deal will be made for the United States to acquire it in an easy way or hard way. Meanwhile, the Italian Prime Minister has dismissed the idea of an American military takeover of Greenland. Danny Zhou reports.
During an event at the White House on Friday, Donald Trump told reporters that the United States will have to defend Greenland and will own the territory the easy way or the hard way in a bid to enhance American security and explore business and mining deals. When asked about their consideration of paying Greenlanders for their agreement to be part of the U.S., Trump said he's not talking about money for Greenland yet.
The policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S. takeover?
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor.
Both the governments of Greenland and Denmark have made clear that the world's largest island is not for sale. But the White House said it is weighing options that could include military action to take over the strategically located island. It faced backlash from Denmark's Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, who warned that an American annexation would spell the end of the NATO military alliance. To that, Trump claimed he's the one that saved NATO.
And by the way, and NATO's got to understand that. I'm all for NATO. I saved NATO. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have a NATO right now.
Danish and Greenlandic envoys met with officials from the United States on Thursday. They're set to hold talks next week with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said on Friday that she still doesn't believe in the hypothesis that the United States would attack Greenland militarily to take control of it, stressing Italy would not support such a move. She warned this would bring significant consequences for NATO as well as broader transatlantic security. Meloni said the takeover doesn't comply with the interests of the United States. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
In Minnesota, in the U.S., crowds gathered for a vigil outside the state capitol, honoring a woman killed in a fatal shooting during an immigration enforcement operation. This as hundreds of people took to the streets of Portland on Friday, calling for federal immigration agents to leave the city. Meanwhile, the Minneapolis school system has offered families the option of remote learning for their children for a month, concerned that they may feel unsafe venturing into the city. Tracy Furness reports.
Faith leaders addressed crowds in Minnesota on Friday as they gathered for a vigil outside the state capitol to honor Renee Good, the female U.S. citizen shot and killed by an Immigration Customs Enforcement or ICE officer.
We are here because an innocent human being, a good human being, having dropped off her children to school, attempting to exit from a war zone situation, was shot and murdered at point-blank range. We are here because that is not the society we wish to live in. That's right. We are here because that is fundamentally unjust. Yeah. We are here because we wish to change it. And there are those among us who might feel that we do not have power because the guys with the guns have the power. We will not put up with ICE.
Protests too in Portland in the state of Oregon as hundreds took to the streets calling for federal immigration agents to leave the city. This sign reads, "Out of Portland now." A new 47-second cell phone video was published online by a Minnesota-based conservative news site and later reposted on social media by the Department of Homeland Security. It shows the shooting from the perspective of ICE officer Jonathan Ross, who fired the shots.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
Good's wife then starting to goad the officer.
You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car.
US President Donald Trump defended the ICE agent who shot and killed 37-year-old Good in Minneapolis on Wednesday.
We will always be protecting ICE, and we're always going to be protecting our Border Patrol and our law enforcement.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Strong winds on Friday swept through the Deir el-Balah area in central Gaza. Makeshift tents that Palestinians spent too long to secure strongly on the ground looked fragile. A man who was displaced from Rafah said, "I live with my wife, 3 girls, and my boy in the same tent. It collapsed during the last storm, and my friends were able to get me a new tent. It is a hard, deplorable situation." But despite their efforts to seal and secure their tents properly, rainwater and strong winds still find their way in. A phased ceasefire between Israel and Hamas remains in its initial stage as efforts continue to recover the remains of the final Israeli hostage in Gaza. 2 people were injured after a fire broke out at a pastry shop in Hong Kong. The incident unfolded at around noon. Black stains appeared inside the kitchen of the affected shop. 2 employees were injured and were sent to Queen Elizabeth Hospital for treatment. One person suffered burns to the face and hands. Another worker felt unwell after inhaling dense smoke and required an oxygen mask. Authorities are investigating the cause of the fire. A team from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University holds a community activity in Shamshui-Po. That's in a bid to promote the culture of a Hakka village in Sha Tau Kok, which boasts a history of 300 years. 12 Chinese unicorn or qilin dancers from the village came to Shamshui-Po to kick off the City of Harvest event. Organized by the School of Design of the Poly Youth, the event features a 1.5-kilometer route collaborating with 10 retail outlets along the way. This allows residents to taste signature Hakka dishes and visit exhibitions. China's ice and snow resources have turned into a tourism driver in northeast China. Love blooming in a cold climate. In Heilongjiang, 42 couples from the country tied the knot in this frozen land. The mass ice wedding was held in Harbin's Ice and Snow Festival against the backdrop of towering ice architecture and frozen landscapes. This year marks the 42nd edition of the group wedding. More than 14,000 newlyweds signed up for it. The number marks a record high. And that's the news. Thank you for watching and have a great week ahead.